I'm Lieutenant Paul Williams, the PIO for the City of San Bernardino Police Department. Over the past several days, we've received numerous requests for interviews and comments on tape, and we appreciate the fact that you waited until today. In a few moments, I'm going to bring up the Chief of Police, Robert Handy, and the Fire Chief, Paul Drazel. The Chief will discuss the impact of the bankruptcy decision of filing from the city upon the staffing levels and how we're going to continue providing emergency services to the City of San Bernardino. I'd like to first call up Chief Robert Handy.
Thank you, Paul. Good morning. My name is Robert Handy. I'm the Police Chief for the City of San Bernardino Police Department. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for coming today. I'd also like to thank you for respecting our wishes yesterday and us pushing this back. I know you were very patient with us. The reason that we did that is we wanted to concentrate and talk to our employees and deal with internally some of the decisions that have been made and the impacts on our employees, and share with them the information that we had. There's been a great deal of concern of the potential consequences for our employees, and that's what we were focused on yesterday. In fact, I'd like to start out and talk a little bit more about our employees. The police department is fortunate to have 458 quality men and women who are dedicated to serving the residents, businesses, and guests of the City of San Bernardino. We have a very strong tradition of honor, integrity, and service. Those intrinsic values are what will carry us through these difficult times. Despite the personal potential ramifications of the bankruptcy decision on our employees, we're not going to be hiring anytime soon, and we're also facing several retirements. It's going to be necessary for us to reorganize in the near future, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the philosophy behind the reorganization and what we're doing. And essentially that's going to be staffing our patrol force that the public often sees and interacts with so that we can continue to respond to calls for service. Our priority will be, it has been and it will always be, to respond first to emergency calls for service and then do follow-up investigations on violent crimes and property crimes in that order. Services and community-based policing services within our police department, when times were good, some of those are going to have to change. And we're going to work our way through that, focused on our priorities, again, of emergency response and follow-up investigations. My staff and I are committed to staying in touch with the community's needs and using our residents' input to help us identify our priorities. We have a tremendous support system here in the community and tremendous involvement from the community. That involvement and that support is a very important force multiplier for us, and I expect that to continue. Basically, the bottom line for us is that we will continue to provide emergency and essential services to the residents of this community. We will do what it takes. This council, the mayor, the city manager are committed to us as an organization and the fire department to continue providing those services. So thank you for coming. I'm going to introduce Chief Paul Drazel from the fire department, and then we'll answer questions.
Good morning. I'm Paul Drazel. I'm actually the acting fire chief. I have a very brief statement. As the interim fire chief, I want to take the opportunity to reaffirm the fact that the fire department remains committed to our public safety. The protection of life and property within our community remains our highest priority. And while we've already had to and will continue to make accommodations in the entrance of the current economic situation, we will do our best not to compromise public safety. I am confident that we will be able to manage the situation as to prevent any adverse impact to our community. We will continue to work with the city's leaders to best manage the difficult times ahead. Every possible consideration will be given to doing our best to maintain the quality of service that our community has come to expect from their fire department. We are proud of what we do. We are proud of our men and women in the fire department for doing. We consider both public safety and firefighter safety to be our highest priority. We're going to continue to respond to emergencies and do the best we can with the resources available. I'm going to just touch briefly on some of the staffing numbers. In 2008, we had 54 personnel on duty per day. Currently, we have 48 personnel on duty per day. That includes our 2 chief officers. So we have, our men and women of the fire department have worked hard to try to help ease the burden over the last few years. We do anticipate some further staffing challenges, and we're going to do our best to accommodate those. We're an extremely busy fire department. As you know, Monday, we had another fire called the Panorama Fire in our northern end of the city. Half of that fire was actually within the city limits. We were able to respond to that with our cooperators in a timely fashion, and we're able to handle that situation. Our men and women of the fire department did an excellent job. Outstanding relationship with all of our cooperators, surrounding cities, and CAL FIRE, Forest Service also. Our employees are dedicated professionals, and we will do our best, regardless of the financial situation, to provide the best possible service we can to the city. Thank you.
And keep them focused on providing, our essential services.
What about the fire department? The fire department went to court to prevent the pay
Well, I think
cuts.
there's still some legal issues there, and I don't think that it's appropriate for the fire chief to respond to those, and that's one of the things we talked about before. We don't want to get into legal issues between various labor groups or anything like that. One of the things that we were asked to look at prior to the bankruptcy filing was a 10% cut in our budget. We did that, and we projected attrition throughout the year and things like that. And our projection is about 20 less officers over the course of the next year in normal attrition. That may change with the bankruptcy filing. People may choose to leave now that weren't planning on leaving before. I'm not sure. We're going to have to kind of wait and see. But we anticipate somewhere around 20 less officers in the next year than what we have today.
But that was before this bankruptcy filing?
That was before the bankruptcy
Will
filing.
there be, are you expecting to have even less because of the bankruptcy filing?
I do anticipate more retirements.
So, but just retirements, not actually laying anybody off?
I don't believe we're going to get some of that. That doesn't mean that it won't touch staff. And again, I don't know what the bankruptcy filing is going to mean for some of those things. We're just going to have to kind of wait through it and see.
I also asked on the fire department side, any idea as far as the reduction of the numbers of firefighters out there?
We haven't received a final number or a request, and as Andy mentioned, we also just received a SAFER grant, which is a grant from the federal government to continue funding for 12 firefighter positions. And we physically can't lay off firefighters. That would put that grant in jeopardy, but we can do it through attrition, and we can reduce staffing that way. They'll grant us a waiver. So it's a complex situation. There's no simple answer.